The universal belief that every mystery of the Titanic had been conclusively resolved has been fundamentally overturned. A groundbreaking new Titanic discovery, emerging from a depth of 12,000 feet, has radically altered everything we thought we knew. Utilizing the latest cutting-edge 3D scanning and modeling technology, a team of scientists has accomplished the monumental feat of creating a one-to-one digital copy of the entire wreck site. This endeavor has revealed that our historical understanding was profoundly mistaken. The revelations from this comprehensive scan possess the potential to rewrite history itself. Not only has this meticulous digital copy debunked several long-standing Titanic myths, but it has also provided definitive answers to age-old questions about the unsinkable ship that had perpetually baffled experts. Let us now delve into the intricate details of these revolutionary scans. For over a century, since its tragic descent to the seabed, the Titanic has persisted as a steadfast keeper of its deepest secrets. For an extensive period, the world remained unaware that the vessel had fractured into sections until the pioneering expedition by Jean-Louis Michel and Robert Ballard first located and explored its wreckage in 1985. Technological capabilities have advanced significantly since that initial discovery. Empowered by this cutting-edge technology, scientists have now achieved what was once deemed impossible: the creation of an exact, precise digital replica of the Titanic. In this model, every minute detail is perfectly identical. Every dent, gash, and bent piece of metal matches the original wreck with absolute fidelity. They did not overlook even the smallest, most insignificant pieces of debris. The methodology behind this achievement is incredibly interesting. Scientists deployed a specialized research ship and a fleet of several remotely controlled submersibles. Each of these submersibles was outfitted with the latest deep-sea mapping technology, capable of conducting extremely accurate scans of the abyssal environment. The mission they undertook was extraordinarily perilous. The extreme depth of the wreck, combined with the critical imperative that the submersibles were not permitted to touch the wreck itself to avoid damage, made navigating the profound darkness of the ocean an extremely difficult challenge. Furthermore, the team was faced with the daunting task of covering a very large area. A fact not widely known is that the stern and the bow of the Titanic are resting nearly 2,600 feet apart, separated by a vast whole field of debris that needed to be mapped. All of it had to be mapped carefully and in minute detail, every single piece of metal, every fragment of debris, and even the surrounding terrain. This was a formidable task for certain, but through immense patience and endurance, the experts managed to pull it off brilliantly. The submersibles worked tirelessly for over 200 hours, snapping an astounding 715,000 images and capturing high-resolution 4K video footage. In total, they collected a massive 16 terabytes of data. Then commenced the intricate process of assembling all that information into a coherent whole. The result of their labor was nothing short of marvelous: an exact copy of the entire wreck site, so immensely detailed that it clearly showed each individual rivet and every bend with stunning clarity. One can even discern the serial number on one of the ship's massive propellers. That is how detailed the resulting 3D model truly is. What did this unparalleled effort yield? A veritable treasure trove of new information. Scientists discovered that the ship had far more flooded compartments than experts had previously believed. They learned that the catastrophic split down the middle was much more explosive and violent than we had previously thought. Perhaps most significantly, these detailed scans served to clear the name of one of the most controversial figures aboard the Titanic, First Officer William Murdoch. And these findings are only scratching the surface of the revelations. But first, it is essential to talk about the most heartbreaking find within the compartments of the once mighty ship, the heroes that stayed at their posts until the very end. Everyone rightly praises the Titanic crew for displaying remarkable heroism in the face of an unimaginable disaster. But even among such heroes, there are true legends. The recent scans of the Titanic have vividly revealed who these legends were on that fateful night the ship sank. This particular discovery emerged in a rather inconspicuous manner. The first crucial hint was found in the engine room. The valves and the pressure release mechanisms were not found in the closed position. They were, in fact, found open. Meanwhile, in the boiler rooms, the scans showed a second critical clue. The boilers of the Titanic were found in a buckled, distorted condition. These massive furnaces had housed extreme temperatures to keep the ship's lifeblood, steam and power, running. So, how could they possibly be in such a deformed state? To the untrained layman, these signs may not immediately make any sense. But to the experts who thoroughly understood the functions of these components, these buckled boilers, open valves, and activated pressure release mechanisms told a poignant tale of sacrifice and bravery like no other. The reason the boilers were in such a condition was that they were under extreme pressure right to the very end of the Titanic's existence. Up until the moment it sank beneath the waves, those boilers were still running. This critical fact could only mean one thing: the engineers responsible for keeping these boilers operational never left their posts. They fulfilled their duty with unwavering dedication to the very end, not because they were trapped and couldn't leave, but rather because they consciously wanted to stay. Their job was absolutely essential. It was these very same boilers that were ultimately powering all the lights aboard the Titanic throughout the disaster. Without their continuous operation, the entire ship would have plunged into utter darkness, and that would have meant an even bigger disaster, causing widespread panic. It was only because the lights stayed on consistently that most of the survivors were able to safely escape the ship on the lifeboats. Had the engineers abandoned their posts, had they valued their own lives above those of the passengers, those lights would have gone out instantly. The results would have been truly catastrophic. Who can know how many more souls would have perished aboard the Titanic had it not been for the brave sacrifice of these engineers? They kept on working, diligently keeping the lights on across the entire ship, even as the ship took on vast quantities of water, as it tilted precariously upwards, and ultimately snapped into two separate halves. They did not flee even as the ship began its final, irrevocable sinking. The amount of heart and sheer bravery that would have required is truly mind-boggling. What the scans were showing directly corroborated the first-hand accounts of the survivors, who stated that even as the ship was snapping in half, they could see the lights shining bright on the Titanic. This was not achieved by some automatic generator like modern ships have today, but by the brave men who had put their lives on the line for the safety of the passengers. That incredible sacrifice might have gone unappreciated and been ignored as a fantastical claim by historians had it not been for the irrefutable evidence provided by these scans. The boiler rooms of the Titanic now tell the silent stories of the brave acts committed inside them. Even as the entire ship rusts away, they stand as a permanent testament to the fact that bravery in the face of peril is never truly forgotten. Even if the world initially ignored their valiant efforts, the very metal and bolts of the Titanic remembered it for them. While these scans did bring the immense sacrifice of Titanic's engineers to light, they have also served to clear up one of the biggest and most enduring controversies surrounding the disaster: the story of First Officer William Murdoch. William McMaster Murdoch remains one of the most controversial figures in Titanic's extensive history. As a first officer of the Titanic, one of his primary duties was to ensure the safety and well-being of all the passengers. But a persistent belief alleges that not only did he shun these duties, but he also did something truly horrifying. When all hope was lost, he used his gun first on the passengers and then on himself in an act of murder-suicide. This depiction was even portrayed in James Cameron's movie Titanic. But is that account really true? Do the latest scans of the Titanic corroborate that grim version of events? It turns out they do not. The scans paint a completely different and far more heroic picture. They not only cleared his name but also demonstrated that the man everyone thought was a villain was actually a hero to the very end. When experts meticulously reviewed the digital twin of the Titanic, they discovered a telling anomaly. One of the lifeboat davits on the starboard side of the ship was still frozen in its launch position. How does this specific detail exonerate Murdoch of the grave allegations against him? Some witness accounts from survivors of the Titanic disaster actually tell a different tale of Murdoch, a tale of ultimate sacrifice and heroism. They say that Murdoch died actively saving lives. He was tirelessly helping passengers escape by launching the lifeboats one after the other. He was engaged in this very duty when a massive wave crashed against the ship as it sank, sweeping Murdoch off the boat deck, never to be seen again. His last moments were spent trying to save passengers. The lifeboat davit being still in the launch position powerfully confirms that version of events. It could only have been left in that specific position if the witness accounts were true. Murdoch was reportedly halfway through launching that very same lifeboat using the crane when the giant wave hit, tragically taking him with it. This was a heroic sacrifice, no less important than the engineers and the other crew on the Titanic who gave up their lives trying to save the passengers aboard. Murdoch not only did his duty, but he went above and beyond. The stain on his name, claiming he committed horrifying acts in his last moments, was proven to be nothing but fiction. The way these scans cleared up one of the most enduring controversies of Titanic's history is as impressive as it is admirable. However, the next discovery was even more unexpected than what we have discovered so far, because it directly challenged everything we thought we knew about the Titanic's fatal fall into the depths. For the longest time, experts were universally confident that the sinking of the Titanic was caused primarily by the flooding of 4 sealed compartments in the hull. However, the recent scans have painted a very different picture, one that has genuinely shocked the experts. In total, the Titanic contained 16 watertight compartments. Of those 16, the ship was designed to survive the flooding of a maximum of 4 compartments in its hull. As mentioned, a long-standing theory holds that 4 compartments flooded, resulting in the ship's inevitable sinking. But the recent scans have revealed something completely different and far more severe. The damage from the iceberg impact extended to not 4 but 6 full compartments. The holes and gashes extended much farther down the hull than we ever expected. This resulted in 5 of the compartments being completely flooded, while the 6th one was only partially flooded before the ship ultimately sank. This discovery is actually much more in line with what the survivors from the Titanic have been saying for ages. Their consistent claim has been that the ship sank very fast, with 6 compartments taking in water rather than just 4. The Titanic would not have stayed afloat for as long as the experts had previously believed.